I wanted to give you a glimpse into what it takes to make a curved element in wood out of a technique called stack lamination technique. So we're going to use that method, and I'll show you in a simple manner using cherry. Now this diverges from what's traditionally seen in the bricklaying method, and many times in the 18th century and after that, things were built up and then sawn into curves and veneered. And quite often you never even saw the bricklay technique. This is an example of a drawer front that was stack laminated or bricklayed. You can see the sections of white pine in this case that are staggered like bricks in a wall. And by doing that, you are able to very quickly create a joined, like stacked height material with the grain running more parallel to a curve. So you basically judge the size of the bricks based on the severity of the curve, and it's a real fast way to make curved drawers and aprons on tables, and that's why they used it in the 18th century. And that's why they used white pine for this as well, because white pine is a notably very stable wood, and it's soft and it's easy to work and shape into curves and to hand plane and all that. So this is an example of a veneered front of what might have been a drawer front if you were to use it in the 18th century. But we'll have a link. We actually did a thing on this type of veneering with hide glue over a stack lamination some time ago. But I want to diverge from that just a little bit and show you how we use stack lamination with solid wood and have it exposed and a finished element, a design element in a way, on the exposed piece of furniture like this chair. So to do that, we're going to use some cherry, if I can find it. All right, I'll use this. All right, so we're going to use pine instead, but pretend this is cherry. I'll transfer into the other after that. So let's go ahead and make lamination out of, well, we're going to first make bricks out of this piece. So to do this, we're going to go over to the table saw, where maybe I'll find my piece of wood. Who knows? All right, so what I'm going to do over here is cut segments with angles in them. And so we're going to have, what we have on the table saw is just an angled piece of plywood. So it's got the same angle coming into it. And this is the angle that we're using for the crest rail of that chair. And so I have a way, I just pin nail it down, but right now we just got it kind of anchored by a few spurs. So we're going to make this cut, and I'm just going to cut these kind of random. Well, actually, I won't be random. I'm going to cut them by putting a pencil mark on here, and we'll make a few segments out of this piece. Let's see, we'll come over to about here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn on the saw, get the gear on, and I'll make one miter cut here, then here, and continue until I have a few bricks. Here we go. Okay, so what we have are 3 bricks. Let's go back to the bench and I'll show you how we glue them up. This is what we want to do. We want to join these together and piece them end to end to create a small linkage of end-to-end bricks. Now, To glue something like this together, you'd think, how the heck am I going to do that with a clamp? To get an angle bite on this would be very difficult. Well, here's the fun part of this, making segmented pieces like this, and bowl turners are very familiar with this. You actually can join these together in a seamless way without a fancy clamp. You can do what's called a rub fit, and I just like putting a little piece of tape on it to hold it in. But right off of the saw, I'm going to use some, this is Type Bond Original. Gives you a quick tack if you're doing something like this. It's nice to have it grab fast so you can get on with the next stage. So you're just going to put a little glue on each end. It gets kind of wicked in by the end grain there. There we go. And now I'm going to bring them together and use this rub fit back and forth. I'm squeezing it out of there, but I'm creating almost a suction, and you can feel them just pull together beautifully. Then I'll do the same here. Push back and forth. And you just no longer can move it, so you know you're there. Now, I like to pull a piece of tape across there as well, in case it wants to just drift and open up a little bit. In order to do that, I'll first get that excess glue off of there. Let's see, I'll use this. I'm just gonna use a wedge. I just happen to have this handy. All right. So now look how seamless that looks already. What do you think?
It's great. Cheering you on.
Okay. So I'm going to tear a couple pieces here. And this is automotive. They actually use this for automotive masking to paint, and it's got super stretchy strength. It's not your average masking tape. I've used it a number of times. You can use it for clamping in woodworking a lot. It's so much stronger than the regular masking tape. And you pay for it too. This is the Scotch brand 233 Plus. And it works great to tape on moldings, like little bandings and things like that. So if you can always push, but it's amazing how fast this grabs. So I'll just push it across there. Across there. So did you see how fast that was? I could just cut a bunch of segments like this and have them all tied together in no time with hardly any clamping time at all. But you should let this sit at least 30 minutes. I would let it go longer. And then once it's set, you're going to have, I'm going to just take these out of the oven. You would have had 3 cherry. You would have seen starting with cherry, but this is just a little larger version of the same thing. Same stop. I was going to cut this piece, but hey, now I got that piece for later. But once you're done, you got to pull these pieces of tape off and clean that up a little bit and get ready for the stack lamination aspect of this. I mean, these joints, they look great. You really want to set your saw at dead 90 for that. Sometimes I like flipping so that if the saw is off slightly, you get like a cancellation with each joint. But I took my time and really locked that saw in at a dead 90 before doing this. And letting all the class participants do it too. But now I've got a little bit of glue coming up above, so I'm just gonna use a card scraper and clean that up. We'll go to the back. We have more squeeze out there. I just kept that flat on the table. So you know, if you pulled the tape and you're flat on the table, you're good on the back too, okay? So I'm gonna just put this. I wonder if Claude's watching. He could teach a master class in segmented glue ups. If you haven't seen his work, you gotta, I don't know what his website is. Claude, if you're watching.
Canterbury Turnings.
CanterburyTurnings.com.
No, just on Instagram. I don't know if he's got a website.
Come on, Claude. Chime in.
He might. Beautiful work. I haven't seen him on here yet.
If you want to see segmented turnings, it's unbelievable. All right. I mean, he'll do segments that have gaps in them too, but. All right, so that's all cleaned up. And before the final, I'm just going to clean up each surface, make sure it's smooth. And once we've got that, we're ready to laminate. So we'll make this our bottom. There's no rhyme or reason actually to the order here in this case, but sometimes you'll try to saw things from a singular board and keep them in an order so that you create, there's much more uniformity of color, and that's what we did with that chair, which I'll show you right at the end, and it'll give you a little different look. Now, the key here is to start with your bottom piece and then stagger the joints. So we're gonna go one way and then the other. Now, I could go the full halfway, but then I have a lot of offset, and I end up, in this case, I'm not going to have much to show you. So I'm going to show you like we did in the chair. I was trying to have the laminations less, I was trying to have less of an offset, I think, with the very top one and the way the glue lines came down on the arms. So I have a smaller offset, about like this, like an inch. So that'll be approximately the way we'll go. But when you glue up something like that, you can see this straight grain between these two joints strengthens everything and locks it in. So these joints have to hold just well enough till you get it stacked and glued, and then they're not going anywhere. All right, so let's just put a little glue on there and knock this out. I'm going to use Tight Bond Extend, and I need a little roller just to get this cleared out. So let's just get some glue. I'll be a little messy about this. Doesn't that surprise you?
There's different rules out here.
Oh.
Yeah.
You mean we have rules?
Creative mess.
Okay, here we go.
It's a different thing.
So I'm just going to put it on one surface. I don't need to put it on both here. I've got an ample supply there, but I could push it on and get a rub, but you get more even distribution if you can just quickly roll it out. So I have this plastic roller thing I got years ago that you're supposed to thread onto the top of a glue bottle, but it was always clogging up, and I actually just use it like this. It's one of the saddest tools I think I have. It
serves you.
It does. Maybe somebody can chime in and suggest a source for this type of thing, or an alternative as good. But I love it for just small situations, because then I just throw it in the glue bucket. That's why my bucket stays so clean, and I get a nice layout without much problem. All right, so there's our first one. Let's just do a little shift, and we can just bed that in a little bit. We're going to just shift about an inch one side to the other. We could go more or less, but that should be adequate. And then we'll come in with the next one. You can see that it's kind of greasy right now. It's going to tack up pretty fast. Now, when I'm doing a large, like one that I'm put a lot of time into, sort of like the one we've got going in the class, when I put the clamps on here, sometimes the clamp pressure is at an angle and it'll cause the layers to go like this, imperceivably, until you recognize it happened and it's too late and they're held like that. So you got to watch for that greasiness of the glue up. And what I do actually to prevent that is I'll usually pin nail this areas that are going to get cut away. So just quickly run a few pin nails in there, and then you can calmly put your clamps on without any worries. But instead of just clamping in random places, I'm going to use a couple oak boards to sandwich this piece. And what happens is the clamps have a wider pressure footprint, really. And this caul is distributing the pressure more evenly. So I can get more effective clamping on a large flat surface like this. So I'm just going to take this clamp and stick it under here. I may get a little slippage there, but I don't have the pin nailer set up for this, so that's okay. I'm just going to gently clamp it. I'll come back and hit it harder after I get the others on and try to reduce any chance of it slipping. So did Claude tell us his website? Come on, Claude, we'll give you a...
We did not say.
Come on. It's Canterbury Turnings.
Is his Instagram handle.
Okay, check Instagram out. Unbelievable stuff there. Segmented, especially this. Okay, so we're gonna just gently snug it. And then we'll do, let's get a third right in the middle. This is plenty of clamp for this little lamination. But gluing flat surfaces together like this requires a bit more pressure than, edge to edge. You've got a lot more area for the pressure to distribute over. All right. That's it. That's good and tight. You can see we're getting great squeeze out. And we've got that staggered brick laid. No mortar, just glue. All right, so the nice thing about wooden brick laid walls or panels is that you can saw them and shape them after however you want. So here's one coming out of the oven. Just whip this up.
It's crazy how you can do that, Tom.
Oh yeah.
All while teaching a class.
Well, I did it well. This is the same setup we were using, so it was pretty seamless. All right, so we'll take it out, and this is basically what we just did. We laminated. And look, I even got some blood on there already. All right, that was the pin nail on the saw. So now that I've got it to this point, I can saw it into shape and make it into anything and be comfortable that it's going to hold this stability. Now this would be harder with, this is just a small example, right? We could have more severe examples like this ring. So this is just a singular brick lay, right? We could have a triple or 4 layers. But this is the apron, a 2-inch high apron. Look at this thing. For the, what do we use this on? The round
pedestal table.
Yeah, the round pedestal table as an option to make an apron under the table as well. And this was put together very fast with white pine, inexpensive white pine. And then we had a template we just routed around, and that segmented turning, because you can shape it, turns into this giant hoop. And it was pretty easy to do. You think if you tried to do this other ways, like laminating layers, it would take you much longer time. So it's kind of a quick, relatively quick to make something like this. But it's a much more efficient way. And it's kind of fun because you don't have to clamp all those miters. Here's a small little mirror we got going. We actually did a Shop Night Live doing mirrors and did actual bricklay method with 1 or 2 of them. So We'll put links to those as well. All right, but for us here, let's just saw a curve into it and see what it looks like. And maybe we can clean up one edge a little bit and see how dynamic it does look. I'm gonna take the pattern actually for our class. Look at this. This is the ring for the arm. See how it fits?
Like a hula hoop.
It does. It feels like a hula hoop. So it has that circle there. We're gonna just lay it on the workpiece, and it's inside the margin of the curve. We can create ourselves a very strong curved shape, just like that. So I'm gonna just take a pen. This is where you would try to avoid your pin nails if you already drove them in. Okay, so there, we've got a little, let's head over to the bandsaw. All right, check it out. Looks like a solid piece of wood, doesn't it? But it's strong, and there's just these little bricks variously positioned, and to clean this up can be a little challenge sometimes, because when you're cleaning up, you're gonna run into end grain in ways you're not used to, where the grain changes at the joint. So let's see if I can do this without much tear out. I'm gonna use the spoke shape, and I'll skew it a little bit. I'm getting a little tear right there. So I'm gonna actually turn around and cut it from the other side. Gotta get a little more exposure here. There we go. Okay, come this way. All right, so you can feel the grain switching right here. So I'll come here. Just try to be sneaky. Now this is really a candidate for sanding more aggressively, because this is just so challenging to do without tearing out a little bit here and there. But let's just do a little bit more. I think we can finish this up. And we'll splash some finish on and see what it looks like. All right, so here's where you can use a card scraper. I don't know if this one's sharp. Where that grain reverses.
Tom, Tim's asking, what was the angle of the guide you used at the start of the table saw? Is it critical or tied to the size of what you want to make?
It is tied to the curvature and the length of the segments you want to use. If you go back and watch that other video, I think I actually worked it out. You know, because you're thinking about the length of the tenon, and you want the joint, I'm sorry, the length of the segment, and you want that joint to be radial to whatever circle you're trying to create. So you just sort of map it out by drawing a few joints, and then you create that radial angle, and then you can just cut the segments all the same, and you know it'll fit inside that radius. I know that probably didn't explain it thoroughly, but so this is sort of the tool of choice if you're going to try to clean up a little piece like this. But what you end up getting is this interesting reflection of light, because what happens is light bounces off side grain, but because of the fibers of the orientation of the fibers in the wood on end grain, the ends of these fibers are facing you and they reflect less light. So once you start looking behind them, they start to bounce more light, but when you look into them, you're seeing a darker reflection. Let's see, and you get actually a decorative effect from the bricklay technique. So instead of it just being concealed in a hidden element, you actually can make it a feature, and you can imagine making that table apron out of solid wood instead.
It's beautiful.
And have it be a decorative element. Now you could make them full brick, like middle joint separation like I did on that other apron, but this is the style that we're using on our chair because of the nature of the chair and wanting to have them divided that way. So there you have it. Let's take a look at our chair. This is the back view of our classic round chair, the course we're in the middle of, and you can see the decorative effect of using a bricklay technique. It's practical to sweep the curve, but it also gives you kind of an interesting, dynamic, reflective design element. And of course, many of you who are familiar with this style chair know that it's inspired already by Hans Wegner, the great chair maker and designer. So that's it, a crash course in segmented stack lamination. Any other questions? All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little while. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. On behalf of the live studio audience and the ever-present, marvelous camera lady,
Yes.
I'm Tom McLaughlin, and we'll see you next time, right back here on Sharp Night Live.
Oh,
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next week. Take care.
I had to tone it down a little. But